This is the Mystical Mining 8-GPU GTX 1070 open air style mining system. In this video what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the full setup of the machine, what to do once you get the machine from shipping, how to configure your wallet, and to start mining. These 8-GPU GTX 1070 machines are one of the most common machines that I build. Now they offer a very nice balance of hash rate per unit dollar, or hash rate per cost, and also you can fit two of these machines on a single 20 amp circuit. Most home circuits and commercial circuits are 20 amps, and with this, let's say you're mining Ethereum or most other coins, you can run these at about 65 to 80% power and still fit two machines on one circuit. The GTX 1070 cards are very nice because not only are they power efficient, but they have pretty good mining performance across multiple coins and multiple algorithms. Now, if you've purchased one of these machines and you've had it shipped to you, it's extremely important that you follow these rules. Before you open the box, make sure that you grab your phone or a camera and start taking pictures and or a video of the unboxing process. Make sure that you capture the shipping label, the barcode, the tracking number. Also, ensure that you get the external condition of the packaging and any double boxes or anything that's inside. And just be cautious about how you unpack it. To take your time, don't need to rip off the packaging material and things like that. You'll find that you want to keep your hands away from the fans on both the front and on the GPUs and things like that. Now, the reason why you want to take a video of the unboxing process or capture a lot of detailed pictures, in the event that there is any type of shipping damage to the machine, which unfortunately has happened to me before, and it's a gigantic pain in the butt to deal with companies like UPS for getting insurance claims processed. So you want to make sure that you have all the evidence necessary from the time that you receive the package to the time that you take it out of the box to make sure that any damages are properly documented and the evidence is clear for filing a claim if necessary. Hopefully that's not the case, but it's important to do this ahead of time. Now, when you are lifting the machine, you should only handle the machine from the two bars on the sides. You can pick it up from here, and one on the opposite side, or the front and back lower rails. Whatever you do, do not try to lift the machine by the fan supports, the graphics cards, and try not to lift it by the GPR support bar either. These are the most stable and strongest connections, and you should only handle the machine lifting it from those locations. So let's quickly walk through all the different components in the system. Not everybody is familiar with computers or mining equipment in general, so it's just nice to be familiar with the system. So starting up front, we have 5 Arctic 120mm cooling fans. These are very quiet fans. They provide pretty good airflow, roughly 80 CFM per fan, and this just helps give a nice directional airflow through the GPUs. Now it's going to look like a lot of cables, but sometimes if you ever need to check connections, it's nice to know what they are. These are the two motherboard power connectors, one for each power supply. There's a primary one and also a secondary one that just turns the power supply on, and the mainboard connection is here. Now each graphics card is going to have several different connections. The primary power cable is going to be an 8-pin connector for this particular GTX 1070 system, and each power cable will have a corresponding power supply connection. Also, each graphics card has what's called a GPU riser, which is located here. This particular machine has version 7 risers. Some of the other machines might have 8, 9, or later. On each riser, there's going to be two connections. There's going to be a USB cable connection, which is going to be blue in this particular machine, and also a SATA power connection, which has these black and yellow wires. Now each USB connection on the GPU risers is going to have a corresponding location or connection on the motherboard via the PCIe slots and these PCIe adapters. Now when you get this machine from shipping, it's important to check all these connections just to make sure that nothing has come loose and everything is properly seated. These connections will move around during shipping. It's bound to happen. They're only held in by the spring tension of the PCIe slots themselves. So once you get this machine back from shipping, make sure that you push down on all of these adapters, just like I'm doing with my two fingers now, to make sure that they are properly seated and you get the proper connectivity between the motherboard and the GPU riser. Now, the black and yellow cable here is a SATA power connector. Each GPU will have a corresponding SATA power connector that is connected to a power supply. There are 4 GPUs on this particular system connected to each power supply. So there'll be 4 on this one here and the remaining 4 on the other power supply. This particular machine is equipped with 2 EVGA 750 watt power supplies. That gives you a total capacity of 1500 watts, which is more than enough for 8 GTX 1070 cards and all of the algorithms that it can run. These are the 2 primary power connectors. We'll show you how to set these up in a little bit, and the 2 main power switches. Leave the eco mode in the off position because these machines run 24/7. They don't need to be in eco mode. We want the fans running all the time just to keep the power supplies as cool as possible. Now let's take a look at the motherboard itself, especially the panel connections here. You're going to have several USB ports. These are USB 3.0 ports. You also have a USB-C port, display port, and HDMI. I strongly recommend running a HDMI connector directly to your monitor and not plugging them into the graphics cards. That way when you're mining, it doesn't affect the hash rate, and the GPU itself does not have to use any of its processing power to power a display. Now, most machines are going to be equipped with an Intel G4400 or G4600 Pentium processor, and also 8 GB of DDR4 RAM, which is located here. This green stick that you see here is an M.2 128 GB solid-state hard drive. One last connection here. This is the primary CPU power cable, which runs from the motherboard to the power supply. Once you get the machine unboxed, do a thorough inspection of all of the fans, make sure nothing's broken. You can just go ahead, turn everything very gently with your fingers, make sure that nothing is wobbling or broken. Go through all the connections that we just looked at, just make sure that nothing looks like it's unseated. You can come here and make sure that all the VGA connections are properly plugged in. Just gently push on all of them, make sure that nothing is loose. And it's also very important to check the PCIe adapter slots like we talked about earlier. Push on all of those, make sure that those are properly seated. And just do a general inspection, make sure that nothing looks out of place and is exactly as you see it here in this video. So let's get this thing connected and set up. Now's the time to grab your keyboard, your mouse, and also your monitor. These machines are available as a package deal with the mouse, keyboard, and a monitor included. I also have these glass plates custom made, which are available for this particular machine, and also the larger 10 or 13 GPU machines that I build. I do have custom glass plates if you want those. It's just a nice little package for a home setup. So let's come around to the power supplies. Make sure that both power supplies are off. That means that the circle on each switch is pressed in. The machine will come with 1 power supply cable for each power supply. Let's go ahead and plug in each of the power supplies. Now, you can only run 1 machine per power strip or surge protector. Most power strips and surge protectors are rated at 1800 watts, or roughly 1800 watts. So if you try to put 2 machines on 1 power strip that are running at 1000 watts each, you're going to blow the power strip. So only run 1 power strip or surge protector per machine. Let's plug the power supplies in. And while we're at it, let's get some power to the monitor as well. This particular monitor uses an HDMI cable, so let's get that HDMI connection made on the monitor. Also, we can come down to the motherboard main panel and let's get that plugged in. So at this time I would say take your Ethernet cable and plug it into the Ethernet port here. However, I don't have an Ethernet cable available right now, so I'm plugging in my Wi-Fi adapter into the USB slot. Now that I've made all my connections, I've checked all the PCI slot adapters, everything is secure. I'm going to turn both of the power supplies on. If you have a machine with this particular motherboard, you will find that the LED system lights up, and that means that we're good to go. I have a wireless USB mouse and keyboard set, so let's get that adapter in as well. Now there are two ways to turn the system on. This particular machine has a power switch located here, so you can push this power switch to turn it on, or the Z270 motherboard has an onboard power switch which is located here. So you can press either one. I'm just going to push this one, and you will hear and see the system power on. You should see all the GPUs light up. Make sure that all 8 GPUs are lighting up. Now the BIOS for these systems is already configured properly for the multi-GPU system and also for the mining operation, so you don't need to touch the BIOS, just leave it as is, it's already set. Windows is configured to automatically log into the system without a password. That way it speeds up your startup time. This particular machine is also configured to auto start mining upon starting up the system and when Windows loading. This is an option. The machines can be configured this way. Most likely your machine is not going to ship with this setup, but this is a possibility if you like this option, is to have the machine set up to mine as soon as the system is powered on, which you can see here. This is running an ETHminer software and is getting set up to mine Ethereum all automatically by itself. This GTX 1070 8 GPU system will mine Ethereum at about 250 megahashes per second. Now, no matter what system you have, it's going to ship with MSI Afterburner configured to launch automatically upon startup. This way all of the GPU fan settings, clock speeds, etc. are automatically set for the time that you start mining. Now to launch the control panel, just come down here to the little arrow icon and click on the airplane. This will bring up the MSI Afterburner control panel. Now this particular machine will ship with 2 different configuration settings. One of them is based on performance for Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, and the algorithm that's associated with Ethereum. Now, the other setting is for almost every other coin that has a stronger use of the GPU core versus the GPU memory. Ethereum and the Ethereum algorithm is memory intensive, therefore you don't need any core clock increase, and a heavier memory clock increase is needed for maximum hash rate. Most other coins, they can use either only core clock or a combination of memory and core clock. So on this machine here, number 1 will give you all of the Ethereum settings. You can see that it's relatively low power, and we have a memory clock of plus 570. If you click on number 2, this will bring up a different configuration setting with plus 150 on the core clock and 500 on the memory clock. This will depend on your specific machine that you have. I do spend some time tuning these machines to see how high we can push the core clock and memory clock, and also run absolutely stable without any crashes. So for now, we'll set this machine up to mine Ethereum. So we'll click on number 1, we'll hit the check mark, and we'll go from there. So before we make any changes to the machine or set anything else up, we want to make sure that everything is operating as intended and as expected. So to do that, just go ahead and double click on the My Miners folder. Open this BBT multi-miner package. The machine will ship with different types of mining software, including NiceHash and things like that. But what we want to do is we want to double check to make sure all the GPUs are online and that the hash rate is as expected. So click on the BBT multi-miner package. This particular machine has v5.6. You are likely to get a machine that has a newer version on it than what's shown here. Now go ahead, double click this file that says BBT multi-miner v5.6. It's a batch file. Double click that. This will open the interface for the multi-miner package. So go ahead and press number 1 for now, and then press enter. This is going to activate the ETHminer software to the pool ethermine.org. And the only reason that we're doing this is we want to make sure that it's running properly. So let's let it run through its setup process here. So after about 30 seconds to 1 minute, you can see that we're getting the full hash rate of about 248. It might go up to 250 megahashes per second. And if you see this number, anything between around 245 to 250, that means that everything's working correctly, the speeds are correct, and all the GPUs are active. At this point, what we want to do is now set up our wallets. So go ahead and close the mining software, and let's walk through all of the options that come with the machine and all the coins that you can mine. So in this BBT multi-miner package, I want you to right-click, hit Edit with Notepad++. This BBT multi-miner package is a collection of a bunch of different mining softwares put together by Bitsby Trippin. You can look them up on YouTube. They have a lot of good information about mining, machines, and just the whole cryptocurrency scene in general. They put together this package which is very useful for mining different cryptocurrencies. The way that this multi-miner package works is it takes a bunch of inputs, including your wallet addresses, things like the machine name, your passwords and emails and things like that, and it puts it into a program that calls a mining software. So for example, in the beginning when we were testing the machine, we called the ETHminer software to mine Ethereum to the pool ethermine.org. And all of those parameters are in this sheet here. So the way that this multi-miner package works is that it takes in a collection of data inputs. So for example, your wallet address, the machine name, your email address, etc., and it compiles them into a program which calls a mining software package. So for example, when we were testing the machine, it called the ETHminer software to mine Ethereum to the mining pool ethermine.org. And all of those parameters are in here, which we can go in and edit for our own desires and coins and wallets. At the top of this sheet, what you're going to find is a bunch of wallet addresses. So you don't want to leave the addresses in here. You want to replace them with yours. You only need to do this for the coins that you want to mine. So for example, if you want to mine Ethereum, you're going to come and find this ETH wallet, and you're going to replace everything to the right of the red equal sign with your Ethereum wallet address. Now, there are many different ways to get an Ethereum wallet. You can sign up for an exchange like Binance or Bittrex or Bitfinex or any exchange that you want that has Ethereum as one of the trading pairs. And you can create a wallet, get the wallet address, copy it, and paste it into this spreadsheet. So I already have my wallet address in this location here. And that way, when we run any Ethereum mining software, it's going to mine directly to our wallet or the wallet that's in this location and not somebody else's wallet. So let's say that we want to run a dual mining operation where we're going to mine both Ethereum and Siacoin at the same time. Now, because we're not only mining Ethereum, that means we also need the Siacoin wallet address. So you're also going to have to find Siacoin wallet, whether it's a hard wallet or an online wallet or an exchange wallet, to make sure that you get your wallet address, copy and paste it into this location, everything to the right of the equal sign, and then make sure that you hit the save button once you have saved, or once you have entered your wallet addresses. Now moving on, if you scroll down just below all of the wallet addresses, you're going to find a section that says miner web login, worker password, miner name, and email address. This information is pool specific. So for example, not all mining pools require a miner web login. Pools like Supernova, usually they use a web login. Nanopool or ethermine.org, they don't use web logins. However, it's nice to have something here just in case you are mining to a pool that has a web login, and you have to make sure that the web login matches the account on your mining pool. So in this particular case, we have Mystical Miner T8, and this is a designation N3. For now, we're just going to leave this, we'll call it Mystical Miner T8. For worker password, if you have a mining pool that uses a web login, a lot of times you're going to need a password as well. However, most pools don't use a web login and password, so in this case, we're just going to leave it as X. Don't leave this blank, just make sure you just put an X here, which is kind of like a bypass. It doesn't do anything. Now for miner name, this is the designation for this particular machine. We're just going to call this Mystical Miner T8, saying that it's an open air style HEP machine. And now you're going to want to put your email address to the right of the equal sign. That way, when you go to your mining pool, you will be able to have both your wallet address and email address linked from the mining software to the mining pool. I'll explain this a little more in a bit here. Once you get this done, make sure that you save it. After you get this done, there's not really anything else that you need to do. All of these parameters I suggest that you leave alone. And what this software does is it gives you a list of options or that have corresponding numbers. So when we run the mining software, it's going to ask us, what do you want to mine and what pool do you want to mine it to? If you scroll down, you're going to come to this section where you see a bunch of echoes here. And this lists specifically what are we going to mine for what number. So for example, when we run the software, when we press number 1, and just for reference here, let's go ahead and double click on this so you can kind of follow along. Here is the interface for this, and it's going to ask type 1, 2, 3, or 4, or a different number that corresponds to the coin and pool that you want to mine, and then press enter. So for example, let's say that we want to mine Ethereum, and we're going to choose the ethermine.org mining pool. So we're going to run the optimized ETH miner for both AMD and NVIDIA cards to ethermine.org, and that corresponds to number 1. So I'm going to press number 1. I'm going to hit enter. And this is the same software that we ran when we were testing the machine in the beginning. And here you can see that it's going to go through its mining process. It'll set up, and we should get the same kind of 248, 250 mega hashes per second as it ramps up. Usually it takes 30 seconds to a minute to get to its full speed. Let's walk through one more example. Let's say that you want to do a dual mining process. One popular combination is mining Ethereum and Siacoin at the same time. This BBT multi-miner package has the Claymore mining software integrated into its setup. And the way that we call that, let's say that we want to do, let's use Nanopool for this time here. We can run the Claymore software to Nanopool to mine Ethereum and Siacoin, and this is going to be number 9. But before we do this, the dual mining process requires a little bit more processing power than single mining Ethereum. And just for additional performance benefits, let's go ahead and increase this to 80%. And let's just bump up the core clock here to 150. And we'll hit the check mark. So something that's important to understand is that every single coin and every single coin combination will have slightly different optimal MSI settings to get the maximum performance. You can spend a little time tweaking it if you want, but I recommend just using some of the standard settings that we have here. You're going to get pretty much, you're going to get really good performance, maybe not that last 1 or 2%, but it'll work really well. So after you change the settings there for the dual mining process, let's double click on this, and we want to call number 9, so press 9 and enter. And we're going to run the Claymore software here. It'll go through its setup. Here we can see that the machine is now dual mining Siacoin and also Ethereum at the same time. Now we have a speed of around 245, 246 megahashes per second, but we're also getting around 2,500 megahashes per second on the Siacoin. There are ways to tweak the processing power allocated to each coin, and also there are some optimizations that can be done to extract a little bit more performance. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I just wanted to show you how to set up the software and run it. Okay, so let's talk about NiceHash. Now, NiceHash is a software that will allow you to use the machine's mining power. It sells it to a market, and then we get payments in Bitcoin. So mining Bitcoin directly is typically done with ASIC machines and not GPU miners anymore, just because of the power and efficiency of ASIC miners. However, we could still sell our hash power and get payments in Bitcoin. And to do that, go ahead and double click on the NiceHash software. So sometimes NiceHash takes a little while to load. Just let it go through its setup process until it completes. And you'll be left with this interface here. So the nicer looking interface on the right hand side, this is where we can start the mining operation and also add our wallet and do some other settings. The left hand side, this is kind of similar to what we saw with the ETHminer software. This will display all of the mining information as it's happening. Right now it's not mining. So I've already logged into my account on NiceHash. So one of the ways that you can use NiceHash is by having an account directly. If you want to, go ahead and set up an account there. And once you get verified and logged in, you'll see that it'll bring you to this dashboard screen. Now NiceHash will give you your own Bitcoin wallet address to work with. In this case here, you can see this is the wallet address that it provided me down here. Once you have this set up, you can either start the mining software, or the other way to use NiceHash is to just put your own Bitcoin wallet address into the software. And you can do that by going to Wallet and click Use BTC Address. And so for example, let's say you have an exchange and you just want all your deposits to go to the exchange. To do this, let's say you use Bittrex. You're going to come and find Bitcoin here, and you're going to hit the green icon. This is going to be different for different exchanges, but I want to show you an example of how you can mine directly to an exchange. And this will provide you with the wallet address associated with, in this case, Bittrex Bitcoin address for my account. And I can hit copy, I can hit paste, and then you can click save. I'm not going to save it right now, I'm just going to use my NiceHash account for this demonstration. So hit cancel, close this guy. And at this point, now we can start the mining operation. So if we want to use NiceHash, let's go ahead and open up MSI Afterburner. And what we want to do is we want to change the settings, because NiceHash will switch between a bunch of different algorithms, and we just want something that's going to give us good performance over the entire spectrum of algorithms, not just, say, for Ethereum or a memory-based algorithm. On this particular machine, it's going to be number 2. If you select number 2, it's going to bring up a power limit of 80, temperature limit of 78, core clock is plus 150, and we have a memory clock of plus 550. And once you get that, go ahead and click the check mark, and it will apply all of the settings for NiceHash and set them all to the GPUs. So I went ahead and hit the start button, which is going to be a green icon here on NiceHash, and now it's started the mining process. It's actually doing 2 mining operations. It's CPU mining, it looks like the Kryptonite heavy algorithm, and it's also GPU mining. Right now it's running the Layer 2 Rev 2 algorithm at approximately 321 megahashes per second. And so NiceHash says that, okay, this is the most profitable algorithm to mine right now with this hardware. And currently it's showing $12.39 per day, US dollars per day worth of Bitcoin. And earlier today this was at like $14, so it fluctuates pretty drastically. But right now it says $12.39 a day. Once you get to this point, you're set, you're done. You don't need to do anything else. Just let the machine run, let it make you money, and forget about it. Occasionally there will be crashes, or sometimes there will be Windows updates that start or things like that. The machine is already configured to have the updates paused. You can see that the updates are paused. However, Windows will automatically resume updates after 30 days of not having any updates or having the updates paused. When this happens, most likely your mining operation is going to crash. If you see your machines go offline, whether you're checking it on NiceHash or on one of the mining pools, usually it's because Windows is trying to update. So let the machine do its update, restart it, let it do its updates, and then you can come back into the Windows Update section, click on Advanced Options, and you can see you could turn pause updates back on. This is important every 30 days to make sure that you do this, or else Microsoft will just push a bunch of updates that will interfere with the mining process. So just a couple of operational suggestions. I suggest keeping your ambient temperature under 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Typically I try to run between 75 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I have around 13 of my own machines that are running, and it can get a little warm in here at times, but those are good operating temperatures for the machine. The GPU temperatures, if they're running any algorithm, will roughly be around 60 to 70 degrees Celsius, depending on what you're doing. If you're single mining or you're using one of the BBT multi-miner packages that will go to, say, nanopool or ethermine.org, I just wanted to quickly show you how to look up your mining operation so you can monitor it. So here I have some machines running on ethermine.org right now, so I'm going to put in my Ethereum wallet address and just hit search, and here it brings up my miner dashboard. You can see that I've got 7 machines running. The total hash rate's roughly 1.7 gigahash per second. And as we were testing this machine, this is the Mystical Miner T8 that we showed earlier. And you can see that it's red because I'm not mining on it right now, and Ethermine says that, well, hey, is your machine down because we haven't seen any shares come through. But this is how you can check your mining operations. There are a couple of cool things. You can see the different payouts. You can get estimates. Right now, my operation is generating roughly 3.8 Ethereum per month, which is nice. And there are also a couple of other settings that most of the pools have. You can configure how often you get paid out, sometimes how much you get paid out, and you can set up your email address notifications and things like that. So explore your pool, look at the different options, go through the help section, and it's a good way to get started with the mining pools and the different characteristics that they offer. So that's a quick rundown of how to operate the machine and get everything working. Now, if you like what you see, and let's say you wanted to purchase one of these machines, you can either contact me directly. I do plan on starting a website soon, which is going to be mysticalmining.com. However, I don't have that set up yet. I do have machines on eBay, but you are going to get a better deal if you contact me directly because of eBay fees, which are like 10% or something like that.